The rain was relentless, a drumming rhythm that filled the otherwise silent city streets. Jack adjusted his rearview mirror and squinted through the windshield as his wipers struggled to keep up with the downpour. It was nearing midnight, and the streets were deserted. The perfect time for reflection, though Jack preferred not to dwell on his life these days. Jack had been driving his taxi for nearly a decade, and he'd seen all kinds of people: the drunk, the heartbroken, the jubilant. But tonight felt different. There was a heaviness in the air that had nothing to do with the weather. He turned down a narrow, dimly lit road when a figure appeared at the curb, barely visible in the gloom. Jack slowed the car and rolled down the passenger window. The man standing there was pale and drenched, his dark suit clinging to his thin frame. He didn't carry an umbrella or seem to care about the rain soaking through his clothes. His eyes, deep-set and shadowed, met Jack's with an intensity that made him shiver. "Need a ride?" Jack asked, his voice cracking slightly. The man nodded and slid into the back seat without a word. He settled into the corner, his face obscured by the dim light of the taxi's interior. Jack caught a faint, cold scent, like damp earth and decay. "Where to?" Jack asked, glancing at the man through the rearview mirror. The passenger spoke in a low, almost inaudible voice. "Cemetery Hill." Jack hesitated. Cemetery Hill was on the outskirts of town, a sprawling graveyard known for its age and eerie reputation. But a fare was a fare, and Jack didn't have the luxury of being picky. He nodded and pulled back onto the road. The ride was silent, save for the rain hammering against the car and the occasional rattle of thunder. Jack couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Every time he glanced in the rearview mirror, the passenger's face seemed different. His features were indistinct, blurred, as if the rain had seeped into the car and distorted reality. Jack's unease grew when he noticed that the man's reflection in the mirror didn't quite match his movements. When the man turned his head to look out the window, his reflection remained perfectly still, staring directly at Jack through the mirror. Jack's knuckles tightened on the steering wheel. "Rough night, huh?" he said, trying to break the oppressive silence. The passenger didn't respond. His gaze remained fixed on Jack in the mirror, unblinking. Jack's heart pounded as he forced himself to focus on the road. Minutes passed, though they felt like hours. The rain eased slightly, and the faint glow of Cemetery Hill's entrance appeared in the distance. Jack exhaled in relief, eager to drop off his unsettling fare and put the night behind him. As he pulled up to the cemetery gates, Jack turned to the back seat. "Here we are. That'll be..." The seat was empty. Jack froze, his breath catching in his throat. The door hadn't opened. The man hadn't left. Yet the seat was undeniably vacant. The faint, cold scent still lingered, a haunting reminder of his presence. Jack's hands trembled as he looked back to the rearview mirror. His own face stared back at him, and behind it, the passenger's pale visage loomed, his eyes locked onto Jack's. A cold hand gripped Jack's shoulder from behind. He screamed, jerking the wheel, and the taxi veered off the road, crashing into a nearby tree. When Jack came to, he was slumped over the steering wheel, rain dripping through the shattered windshield. The cemetery gates loomed ahead, eerily still. The back seat was empty, but the cold, earthy scent remained. Jack stumbled out of the car, his knees weak, and turned to face the cemetery. A single gravestone near the entrance caught his eye, illuminated by a stray beam of moonlight breaking through the clouds. Etched into the stone was the name Elliot Grayson and a date of death from 10 years prior. Beneath it was a phrase that sent a chill through Jack's entire being: "Forever waiting for the journey home." Jack's blood ran cold as he realized the gravestone bore the same face that had been in his mirror. The passenger hadn't needed a ride to Cemetery Hill. He'd never left.